Welcome back. I'm Lou Wieland, and I'm sitting here with Dr. John Eaves, Chairman of the Board of Commissioners for Fulton County. And Dr. Eaves, I read a nice article about some of your comments that you've made to them in the June issue of Georgia Trend, where they talked about the National Complete Streets Coalition, and you were quoted and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but from what I gather, you are placing a high priority on the concept of live, work, and play. Is that pretty much the gist of what your comments were?
Without question. These stats, on any given day, there are 2 million cars that drive through Atlanta on our highway system, and only 450,000 people utilize MARTA. We certainly experience how challenged our infrastructure is when the bridge collapsed, I-85, in early April. So we have to think in terms of how we can have more density, more live, work, and play communities where people can not only live but work in recreation activities in a relatively short proximity area, get people out of their cars. There's also a concept of complete streets, and Fulton County has become an awardee, that is, in terms of what we're doing in terms of connectiveness between transit, riding bikes, going to work. And in the perimeter area, they've done a lot, Sandy Springs specifically, in terms of this complete street concept. You also see it in Atlanta. Many of the roads now, there's sharing of roads with not just cars, but also bicycles. And it's going to take a while for the community to really embrace this concept, but the point is to get fewer people, less people in cars, and more people in other modes of transportation, specifically using the bicycle.
I was on a bus tour the other day through Hapeville, College Park, and East Point with the Aerotropolis sponsorship, and I learned a lot. I mean, I published the official relocation guide on Atlanta, and I'm supposed to know these things, but I learned a great deal about that area of Fulton County.
Right.
And I think they're doing things too. I know Alpharetta is too, and we had the mayor of Alpharetta on last week. But I can see that happening in Hapeville and East Point a lot too. You see that trend accelerating down there on that side of it?
It is. Fulton County is really a unique county. I mean, it's a lot of diversity, not just along race and ethnicity, but also topography and the sort of the personality of cities. North Fulton cities versus South Fulton cities. Each of the cities is unique, and so in the southern part, you sort of see a little bit of a glimpse of a bygone era. Hapeville and Palmetto and Fairburn, they have some signs of how life was back in the 1940s and the 1930s. And you see old buildings, but you also see the balance of the old and the new. You see glimpses of, as we talked about briefly, some degree of live, work, play communities, mixed-use development, particularly in Hapeville. There's some really funky areas down in Hapeville. There's a railroad track that goes through Hapeville, and you have some commercial development, retail on both sides of the railway. Fairburn is going to become a very robust city in the future. They also have CSX railways, rail cars that go through there. And that railway system is a relic of the past, but it's still used now, but commercials beginning to be built around the rail, and it just adds to a unique character of the cities. And so it's not only Hapeville and Fairburn and Palmetto, but it's also College Park and East Point. Each of them has a very interesting personality that adds to the great diversity of Fulton County.
You know, I did some comparisons on price increases in that area, and their prices have not gone up much up until recently, and now they're starting to go up quite a bit more than in the past.
Right. So North Fulton has been the most recent hot market for housing, particularly in places like Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Roswell, and Sandy Springs. It's trending south. It's certain pockets of Atlanta, Buckhead, Midtown, especially Midtown. I met with representative from the Midtown Alliance 2 weeks ago. Right now, there are 23 cranes building multi-family units in Midtown right now. And you're going to also see it begin to go south, particularly in the Hapeville area, the new city of South Fulton, and Fairburn. And so the southern part of the county is going to become a hot market in terms of development, especially in its relationship of how close it is to the airport.
That's a big factor. Tell us, give us a little profile on the new city of South Fulton.
So the new city of South Fulton is now the third largest city in Fulton County. Previous to the vote last November, it was what's called an unincorporated area. In other words, the county provided the municipal services, police and fire, code enforcement, parks and recreation. We provided that service to the area. They voted to become a city on early November of last year. And now it is a city of roughly 100,000 people. It's a beautiful area. It's got the Fulton Parkway, South Fulton Parkway that goes through it. Also some major streets and such as Camp Creek Parkway is down there. But it's also a place where there's going to be a lot of commercial development. And so I think that the city of South Fulton is going to be a hot area along the lines of what Sandy Springs is now for the Fulton County. And so I'm excited, and I'm going to be working closely with them as a partner because the success of Fulton County is connected with the success of the new city of South Fulton.
I'd love to have the new mayor on the show sometime. Maybe you could help me extend an invitation to him. I see he was on another show recently, so I saw that on Facebook, and the whole show was on Facebook. I didn't get a chance to hear. I will though, but definitely having him on the show. But they have some tax incentives down there too that are pretty favorable for business.
There are. So the Fulton County Development Authority, we call it Select Fulton, plays a leading role in terms of enticing businesses, companies to relocate to a particular area. And so they offer some creative financing plans, alternatives for businesses to be placed there. The county, several years ago on Fulton Industrial Boulevard, we were able to get the state to designate part of Fulton Industrial Boulevard as what's called, I think it's an economic
opportunity zone.
Yes, opportunity zone. So for a company that relocates and for every X number of jobs that are created, they get a tax credit from the state. And so those type of incentives do a great job in terms of attracting companies and corporations and businesses to areas that are underrepresented. And I think that we can be creative as a county of attracting companies to places that are underrepresented right now.
So many companies are locating there.
Yes.
PPG, Amazon.
Yes.
On, and for fulfillment, huge
Yes.
warehouses for fulfillment purposes.
Anthem, UPS. So the present of Fulton County and the future of Fulton County, I think, is very, very bright.
Very positive. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're going to talk a little bit about downtown from visitor standpoint and from economic development. Be right back after the break. Welcome back. I'm Lou Whelan, sitting here with Dr. Eaves, Chairman of the Board of Commissioners for Fulton County. We had a property tax increase, and during the break, I asked Dr. Eaves what kind of pushback we're getting from the citizens on the increase, and if you wouldn't mind just addressing that, because some people are talking about that.
They are, and rightfully so. As I pointed out, residential properties are appreciating in value, and when that happens, there is an increase in tax. And so Fulton County has 317,000 parcels, residential parcels in the county, and 22% of them experience a 50% increase in value of their properties from 2016 to 2017. That's significant. And I've talked with residents who have had a 100% increase. I met a man last week who lives in Sherwood Forest whose house was appraised at $1.2 million last year, and it's $2.3 million this year. So that's significant. And he's going to be paying about $13,000 more than he did last year. And so I'm calling on the tax assessor's office that's responsible for appraising property to come up with a variety of solutions that will ease the burden on property owners, because it is a shock, it's sticker shock in terms of this increased amount of values that have increased over 1 year. And so I've been hosting town hall meetings this past week, meeting with residents the past 2 weeks, and I am lobbying, petitioning the Board of Assessors, which is the entity that oversees the tax assessor's office, to come up with some remedies to provide relief to taxpayers.
Some people are talking about some kind of a rule that would only allow prices to go up a certain amount from one tax period to the other. Is there any chance of that happening?
Not now. We would have to get approval from the legislature, the Georgia legislature, to do that. They're the ones who impose laws that allow for local government to come up with ways that local citizens can have a relief of their taxes. So we're going to be proposing perhaps a variety of suggestions to the legislature for the 2018 session that will provide more relief. I've had complaints and concerns shared to me by seniors who are on fixed income, who have been in certain neighborhoods, communities for many years, and all of a sudden, because they happen to be in a neighborhood that's developing and a big development is down the street from them, all of a sudden their housing values are increasing. They have no plans of leaving or selling. They want to be there, but they have to pay for the taxes. And so I think that many of their complaints are legitimate and need to be, we need to come up with strategies to help them.
They can't afford to live there in the house that they've lived in for years.
Exactly. So again, some folks may rely on Social Security or a limited pension. It's fixed income. They're used to paying their bills with X number of dollars coming in on a monthly basis. Then all of a sudden, the taxes that they paid last year are double. That does pose a strain for them.
Really? It's a problem.
Yes, it's a big problem.
People living on fixed income. So, well, anyway, good luck. I know that's a huge challenge.
It is a
controversial.
Challenge. It's a challenge. It's controversial, but I'm optimistic that we'll come up with some sort of short-term solution.
So, Dr. Eaves, let me ask you a question now. What are you most proud of so far? You're on your third term, right?
Yes.
So what are you most proud of, and what's your biggest goal going forward? And we only have 1 minute and 52 seconds in this segment.
I'll get in real quick.
We'll continue it into the next segment if we have to. But
I'm proud of the fact that Fulton County has improved its image in terms of it being an efficient county, customer service oriented, and a very good deliverer of services to people. I'm also proud of the fact that at one point Fulton County was perceived as being very divisive along racial and partisan geographical lines. You don't hear that anymore. It's perceived as a cohesive, unified county. And I believe that my leadership and my style has all helped to make our image much, much better. In terms of next, I want your listening audience to know that I'm looking for a position upgrade. I announced my candidacy for mayor of Atlanta in March. And so I'll be running for mayor, and it will be an opportunity for me to have provide more service and leadership to Atlanta and still be a partner of Fulton County.
Dr. Eaves, I have one question to ask you. When you're mayor,
yes,
you're not going to be too big to be on my show, are you?
Of course not. This is where I was made here.
All right, I like it. Well, I'm glad to have a part in it because I definitely admire your leadership, and I love what you said about working together in a collaborative environment. Because I think that is without a doubt the case.
It is, right. I'm very proud of that.
Our city has done an excellent job of working collaboratively together to accomplish goals.
And I want to do more.
All right. Good. Well, I want to help you out, too, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. I'm Lou Whelan talking to Dr. Eaves, Dr. John Eaves, who's just announced that he's running for mayor. No, he didn't. Actually, it was a couple of months ago. He re-announced it today on the show, which is certainly proud of the work that he's done. And, he certainly has the right attitude that we need in this city. Just economic development, collaborative environment, working together. And he's really prioritized economic development and redevelopment. Tell us a little bit about that area of life.
Well, I think the good news is Atlanta, specifically Fulton County in general, is a magnet of sorts in terms of companies and corporations that are moving here. And it's a hot market in terms of our quality of life, higher educational institutions that are here, a diversified workforce. And so I think all the ingredients for people to want to come here, companies that want to come here are there, along with a decent transit system. It's not perfect, but it's better than a lot of places around the country. I just think that as mayor or if the city of Atlanta can be positioned even better to attract more, I would like to see more balanced development across the city. There's still a little bit of a seesaw that's kind of tilted more north than south. And to me, the ideal situation is this balance across the city, because at the end of the day, everybody benefits when there's strong economic activity, community development activity that's across the board, as opposed to the haves and the have-nots. And I think that political leadership, setting tone at the top in terms of expectation, working with all the stakeholders to achieve that goal, it is something that I will be pursuing.
What's good for the one part of town is good for the other part. And one of the things that strikes me as pretty valuable on my tour with the Aerotropolis is, the fact that it's so closer. The southern part of Fulton County is a lot closer to downtown
Right.
and to the
Right.
airport
Right.
than the northern
Right.
part. I mean, and I live in Roswell, and it's a long way to get to the airport.
Yeah.
And there's people who are living in the new city of South Fulton are going to be very close to the, are close to the airport, and that's a big factor.
It is. And actually, it's a great observation on your part. Chattahoochee Hills, which is the southernmost part of the county, probably about 20 miles from the airport, 25, 27 miles from downtown. So it's actually closer than the northernmost part of the county, whether you're in Milton or you're in Alpharetta. And I think that the airport is a tremendous economic driver and major employer. And so I don't know the exact figures, but you have at least 5,000 to 6,000 people who work at the airport, not to mention people who are employed by the airline industry. And so you have a lot of people who prefer to live in the southern part of the county because it's closer to the airport than other parts of the metropolitan Atlanta area. So I think Atlanta and Fulton County both poised to be even greater in the future. The airport is a major asset, but you also have major corporations located in downtown and Sandy Springs, as well as in the northern part of the county. I think that the final frontier, if I can describe it that way, is South Fulton. So going down the South Fulton Parkway, Camp Creek Parkway, undeveloped land down there, if zoned and the land use is done right, it can be a great part of the county in the near future.
I went to meet the Atlanta Aerotropolis folks and their location off of Camp Creek Parkway. When I got off at 285, I turned right to go west instead of left to go east.
Right.
And what a shocker.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the first time I've been over that part of Camp Creek Parkway.
Right.
It's really developing nicely.
Yes, Camp Creek Marketplace. Fulton County is responsible for that. Also along Cascade Road, there's some decent commercial development on Cascade Road outside of 285. Fulton County is responsible for that as well. Now, the new city of South Fulton is be responsible for the zoning and the economic development of that area in partnership with Fulton County. And so you're right, Lou. It's very nice. Not only is it retail, but you also have a few hotels that are there. And coming inside of 285 on Camp Creek Parkway, I think that will be the next area that you're going to see some good development leading up to the airport.
So let's say this time next year, you're mayor of Atlanta. What would you like to see happen?
So it'll be 6 months into my tenure. I think that one of the things I want to do is develop a strategic plan. We have that as a county. We have a strategic plan, and we have 6 priority areas. All people are safe. All people are healthy. All people are culturally enriched. All people are self-sufficient. All people trust government. And there's a 6th one that I can't remember off the top of my head, but we have a strategic plan. And I think that it will be good for Atlanta city government with its leadership, myself as mayor, having a strategic plan. So I do envision going through a process of having a plan that we will follow during the first year of my term.
86% of the residents of Fulton County graduate from high school.
Yes.
And maybe we can do that everywhere. And I would like to commend you, too, for the work that you've done with the education budget.
Yes.
Done a phenomenal job of making that more efficient. I think you went to a zero-based budgeting and reduced the cost almost in half.
Yes. We've been very efficient as a government. Then also about your high school stat. Fulton County school system, which operates north of Atlanta and south of Atlanta, doing a phenomenal job. And I believe that the Atlanta public school system has the potential of being good as well. And so I will be an educational mayor. I have a PhD, as you pointed out.
I know, in education, I know.
And I believe that education is important for the future of our community.
Thank you for your service to the community and all your great work that you do. Dr. Eaves, we appreciate you and your work. Mm-hmm. Come back on the show as mayor.
All right, looking forward to it.
All right. And now stay tuned for Dr. Bill Williams, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Swanee Dental Care, our dental health expert.